Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over why the community, and specifically pro players, are so angry at Fortnite right now. Now, unfortunately, due to the events of the last few weeks, there's a bunch of reasons why players could potentially be angry at Fortnite, so I'll have to be a bit more specific here. The discussion in this video is going to revolve around the newest Fortnite State of Development, which was published a few days ago. And if you guys stay up to date with any pro players or just the community in general, you've probably heard about a specific part of this because of the fact that it basically killed stretched resolution. We'll get into more detail about that a little later in the video. But what people need to understand is that the top tier players aren't only mad because Epic more or less banned stretched res. Obviously, that's a large part of it, and it's why you're seeing so many people who have been forced to switch back complaining about playing on normal res, but there's a lot more to it than just that. This competitive focused state of development being released now, only a few days before World Cup qualifiers begin, shows a clear disconnect between the competitive decision makers at Epic Games and the Fortnite community as a whole. But I also don't want to be overly biased towards one side here. Even though the State of Development update received an overwhelmingly negative reaction from the community, there is some good stuff in here as well. Especially if you're a console player, because they basically dedicated an entire section to discussing console performance problems and potential solutions. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So to understand why the competitive Fortnite community is so angry about this state of development, you need to first understand how they've been treated in the past. Here's a really funny clip from Liquid Chap, who's one of the most popular and well-respected pro Fortnite players. Through personal experience, he's about to sum up the way Fortnite treats their pro players way better than I ever could.
TwitchCon was nice too. At TwitchCon, the second LAN I went to, they randomly changed the game completely. They added moving circles and redeploy the day of the tournament. Or 2 days before, I'm sorry. And then ESL was also great. And when I went to ESL, a volcano destroyed my whole area. That was sweet. Epic has a great history of making really competitive events. Oh my god, how could I forget when they delayed Winter Royale so that they could put a sword in a new map? I forgot about that. Man, Epic's done a great job so far.
So just mentally put yourself in Chap's shoes here for a second. Imagine you're a pro player who plays the game literally 8 to 12 hours a day pretty much every single day. You practice strategies with things like landing spots and rotations until you could probably do them with your eyes closed. And then, 1 or 2 days before the actual event that you've spent hundreds of hours practicing for, your entire landing spot gets removed, or they put the Infinity Sword in the game, or they add brand new features like glider redeploy and moving endgame circles. It would be like if you're taking a test in chemistry class and then 10 minutes before it starts, your teacher tells everybody, oh yeah, by the way, there's a section in here about early 1900s US history. Good luck, guys. And if everything you heard from Chap wasn't enough, here's another really funny example from the pro player Zate, which is a little more relatable to all the stretched res drama. He tweeted the following little story that other pro players have confirmed is 100% true. At PAX West, I asked a question to the Fortnite competitive team. Why are we only allowed to use the G502? Which, in case you don't know, is a gaming mouse, and I'll admit that I don't know a ton about this stuff because I'm a controller guy, but apparently this is so funny because the G502 is not really a high-quality gaming mouse. Someone from the Fortnite competitive team responded to Zate's question by saying, I use this mouse, it's a really good mouse, what's the problem? So basically, Epic forced 100 pro Fortnite players into using a less than ideal quality mouse because one random guy on the competitive team personally uses it and he doesn't see a problem with it. If you can't see the ridiculous in that, then I don't really know what to tell you. Imagine the NBA forcing all its players to wear some $30 pair of New Balances during games because some random guy in the league's front office wears them while playing pickup games at the gym and he does great with them. So those examples from Chap and Zate should give you a pretty good understanding of just how negative the relationship has been between pro Fortnite players and the game's competitive development team. So as an attempt to gain some trust from the competitive community, Fortnite published their first ever competitive state of development at the end of January. And in that article, they made the following statement in the patch releases and competition section. We want to provide reasonable time for you to adjust strategies following large gameplay impacting changes. For example, prior to official Fortnite competitions. That right there was basically music to the ears of all competitive Fortnite players, and it made them incredibly happy. But that didn't end up lasting very long because of what happened with the newest state of development. Epic decided that only a few days before a $500,000 in-game tournament, and only about a week and a half before the first World Cup qualifier, it would be a good idea to ban any kind of stretched res in any kind of competitive event. Now, I'm not trying to be super biased here, so I will say that I do understand Epic's reasoning behind this. Stretched res is something that not all viewers are going to be used to, so it could hurt the viewing experience for a lot of players. And also, based on what I heard, Epic did make a serious effort to perfect a spectator mode that would have allowed players to play on stretched res, but it would have showed as normal res to anybody watching. So my guess is that despite their best efforts, they simply couldn't make it work in the end. But at the same time, I totally understand all the outrage that is coming from the competitive side of the community as well. Some guys have been playing Fortnite with stretched res for well over a year now, and to take that away from them so close to the qualifiers of by far the biggest tournament in Fortnite history, it's pretty inexcusable. This last week or so should have been the time when players are basically putting their finishing touches on their overall strategy. But now they're going to need to focus on adjusting to what their screen looks like more than anything else. Plus, all of that is totally ignoring the fact that certain players basically need to play on stretched res because it helps their game run better. For example, I'm sure a lot of you guys know Beanie. If not, he's hands down one of the best competitive controller Fortnite players on the planet. He has a solid enough gaming PC, but he basically needed the frame rate boost from stretched res for it to be good enough to keep up with everyone else. But now, because stretched res is banned in all competitive events, he's probably going to have to go out and buy a brand new super $2,000 gaming PC just to have a chance at qualifying for the World Cup. So now that we covered the main negative of the state of development, let's switch gears to the positive side of it. First, let me read you guys the important part of the performance improvements section of the article. It says, improving late game performance is a priority for us. We'll start by bringing the opt-in FPS display to console and mobile, which will help us better monitor live gameplay performance when digging into your reports. We're also actively investigating uneven frame rates, hitching, and late game performance from multiple community reports and competitive match breakdowns. Our goal across upcoming releases is to iterate on common stalls that directly affect gameplay and provide a more consistent endgame experience. The V8.30 update contains improvements to multi-threaded rendering performance and heavier scenes for console and desktop, as well as a fix for a hitch related to vehicles. So the first part of that basically means that Fortnite will finally allow console and mobile players to display their exact FPS on screen while playing the game. It's pretty much the same thing as the way Fortnite shows you your ping and packet loss while playing. I think this is going to be interesting because even though console caps out at 60 FPS, that doesn't mean it's always going to be at 60 FPS. I wouldn't be surprised if in certain endgame scenarios, console players see their FPS hovering more towards the 20 to 40 range. And the second part of that section is Epic telling us for probably the third or fourth time now that they're aware of and investigating some of the most common performance issues in their game. Can we trust that whatever fixes they implement will actually make a considerable difference this time around? Who knows? But they specifically mention update 8.30 as a target for a considerable performance improvement to the game, with an emphasis on console endgame FPS. And the final interesting thing they mention is in regard to queue times while playing arena mode. It says, one area we've heard your pain is with longer queue times and higher levels of competitive play, so we're investigating a solution. The ability to play while you wait. We'll place you into a match or creative island during those longer queue times to keep you warmed up. Now, they also admit that this solution isn't going to be released in the immediate future, but it's a cool little option to combat the long queue times. And at least now, streamers and players in the highest divisions will have something to do to entertain themselves and their viewers during the 20-minute queues. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. This video was about pro Fortnite players and why they're so angry at Epic right now. So I want to know, who is your personal favorite pro Fortnite player? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.